Welcome back, guys. We're going to have a look at this full moon coming up for the 6th of April, and we're going to be looking at the astrology and the energies going on for this month. So this full moon for the 6th is at 16 degrees Aries, the sun position, and the moon is at 16 degrees Libra. So anyone with a birthday around, in the last couple of days or over the next few days is going to be really affected by this full moon, because you'll have the moon opposite your sun position, and it'll be hitting. So this is actually going to be really good for you guys, because it's a lovely energy, this full moon, because we've got Jupiter, and it's the main aspect for the sun, for the sun moon opposition. And Jupiter is the main aspect coming up for the sun. So with Jupiter there, Jupiter's a lot about expansion and growth. It's about our desires to move forward and our desires to have more or to expand on what we have. Now when it's to the sun, this is often our desire for success, our desire for achievement. It's our desire, because the sun is our personal expression, and Jupiter's wanting to bring out enough for us to be able to create more. So it can represent situations when we're in where we have promotions, or where we decide to go into business, any area where we feel we are truly expanding and able to utilize and create more for ourselves. So with the sun there, it's very easy. It's, Jupiter's the great benefactor, or known as great benefactor. It's very helpful in assisting us to, again, achieve more of what we want. So, Jupiter is very much about the physical and the spiritual. So sometimes it can be about knowledge, it can be about spiritual understanding or experience on a personal level, being the sun. Otherwise it could be on the practical level of, having more relative to finances and relative to, what we consider to be success. And of course, everybody has a different, understanding of what success is for them. So, anyone wanting to achieve things or get things going or waiting on good news, Jupiter is the time when we look for when is this going to be coming in. And like I said, it's an opportunity not only for Aries to start to expand and grow and move forward, but for everybody, as this is our first full moon for the new astrological year. And Aries sits there as our point of, as we go through the Aries cycle for everybody, we're sitting there. This is to do with our personal expression. As we move to Taurus, this is more to do with our physical assets. But for Aries, it's, the I am principle. It's I am here. This is what I'm doing. This is who I am. And so again, to expand, do some personal growth, could be also be encouraged at this time with that Jupiter conjunct Sun. So while the Jupiter is conjuncting the Sun, of course, it's making an opposition to the Moon. And the Moon Jupiter combination is, the moon's all about our emotions and how we feel, how we connect in, what's important to us. The moon relates to our soul, where the sun relates to our physical energy and our physical body. So with the moon to Jupiter, that's quite a nice combination to see in people's charts. It's one where we reach out, we can have a very deep and full expression of feeling with that moon Jupiter. It means that we can be, the negative, it can be dramatic, it can be, the emotions are, because Jupiter expands but also exaggerates what it's touching. So, it means that we could be overreactive at emotional level, but it has a lot to do with our own personal beliefs and values. The moon Jupiter combination also relates to connections to do with overseas, different cultures. So, there's sort of, for when it's seen in business, because the Sun Jupiter can relate to business and expansion. With the Moon Jupiter, it's sort of when we reach out to overseas, for our business ventures. So with that Moon Jupiter, it's a much more of a sense of an emotional growth or an emotional expansion. And, this is a time, well, with this full moon over the next week, where we are, focuses on where do we want to move forward, what direction are we going in, where is the growth going to come from, and also what is true to our hearts, to our emotions, to what is going to make us feel good, where do we feel right. Does this sit with my values? So all those things are going to be, you know, at the forefront, and anyone who has been, you know, focusing on, or, you know, feeling, you know, anyone who's been conscious of where they are in alignment, I feel are going to start to get the rewards now with this Jupiter conjunction happening to this full moon. So, you know, we did have the new moon in Aries a couple of weeks ago, and that set the stage, you know, and that was, you know, quite a strong energy, you know, coming in with that of Mars, because I'm just trying to remember, yeah, the Sun, Moon in Aries was squaring Mars. So, you know, Mars was the focus. You know, this is time for action. This is time for moving forward. Mars has moved into Cancer now, and, you know, with it in the first early degrees of Cancer. You know, this is Mars down here. You know, this is going to be a time when the focus is going to be on the home, so it can be relative to renovations, moving forward, or it could be relative to just getting on with plans that we've had for quite a while. So we had Mars activating things 2 weeks ago. Nothing much happens on the new moon. It's sort of almost like the seeding time. The full moon is when things start to move forward. So we could start to see some of that action, you know, happening with the Mars there, and with Jupiter coming in for the full moon, emphasizing this full moon. It's going to be extremely productive for a lot of people. So when I say productive, it doesn't mean you're going to see the productivity, but, you know, opportunities can come in, situations where you can expand and grow can come up during this time. And of course with Jupiter, you know, then that is something to work towards. So the other interesting aspect, there's not a lot of aspects for this full moon, but I will cover the fact that we've got some outer planets that have just moved. So Mercury conjuncts the node here in Taurus. Now, Mercury is all about the mind, how we think, how we communicate, how we see the world, really. And whatever placement it's in, it's, you know, relative to our thoughts. And the node and our communications, the node is all about people, connections, relationships on all levels. So when Mercury node come together in a conjunction, especially in Taurus, you know, it's going to be a lot of talk about either business, finances, you know, plans with others. You know, there's a lot of negotiations happening when you have Mercury node. It's also about communications, about property. You know, again, it's when you can get together with others that, you know, it represents like a like-minded connection where you're all on the same page, where you're thinking in a similar way, or seeing the world in a similar way. With Mercury node, that gets a bit more personal, gets a bit more intimate within the communicational side of things. It's also a really good time for, you know, communicating plans and ideas, negotiations and agreements. So we have a Uranus, Venus, which we actually, we had that, I'll start again. We've had the Venus over the Uranus, which was a couple of weeks ago. What we have moving in for the next 2 weeks is Mercury moving closer to Uranus. Now we're coming up for a, let me just check my dates here. We're coming up for a Mercury retrograde for around the 20th. I couldn't see it actually, so I've got my notes are so scrambled that I can't even read them here. But so, you know, don't quote me if I'm wrong, but around the 21st, we've got the Mercury retrograde. I mean, the Mercury retrograde sits for days anyway, but pretty much from the 15th, 16th, Mercury travels along. On the 15th, we come to 14, where we're sitting here, Uranus is sitting here at 17 degrees Taurus, and Mercury gets up to 15.5, 16 degrees, sits there for a whole week, and then it starts to slowly move back. So we've got effectively 2.5 to 3 weeks of Mercury conjunct Uranus. But, you know, for its tight aspect where it stations is right on Uranus. So I would say from the 16th to about the 22nd of this month, there's going to be some pretty interesting news going on. When we have Mercury transiting over Uranus, you know, this is a time when we come into either our own sudden understandings, or we get, you know, information which can change our thinking. So Uranus is a very changeable energy. Mercury is the lower mind, Uranus is the higher mind. You bring the two together and you get a eureka moment, where you get the sudden cognition, or the sudden where things that you haven't been quite seeing clearly start to come into more clarity. So it's not like something you're not understanding, as in a Neptune influence where it's a bit confusing or you feel a bit overwhelmed. It's more like it may not even be relative to anything you've been pondering on, but it's sort of like sudden information or sudden news that quite out of the gate, as far as nothing relative to what you've been thinking, but it can just change you. It can change the way you're thinking. It can make you go, okay, well, I was going down this track. Now with this information, now I think this is the track I want to go down. So I sort of feel collectively around that time is going to be very important for news, information. There could be important or surprising news come out as far as, for the collective through our normal channels, or it could be more of a personal situation where this is information that is going to help to change your direction or put you on a new track of thought. And again, we're looking at Taurus, so this is, again, it could be relative to our assets, our property, so forth. And with Mars sitting there in Cancer, this is a time when, like I said, renovations, changes, thinking about the home, a lot of activity going around the home. Are we wanting to, stay and make it more what we want, or are we going to move? So, all those things could be coming up for people during this time, and especially over this next month, and over this next 2 weeks. Now, the other combination, of course, this is pretty much for the year, where we've got this, most of the year, Pluto is squares the node. And now Pluto has just gone into Aquarius, and, it's it takes a long time in one sign. I think around 2006, 7, 8, around there, Pluto went out of Sagittarius, and it went into Capricorn, and that was it was around the time of the first sort of market crash, actually. Now we're coming to the end of it. We've just come out of it, and it's moving into Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius is very much like a Uranus-Pluto conjunction for anyone who follows astrology and understands that. When those two planets come together, it's about breaking down the old to create the new. Letting what is no longer serving us fall, so that we can revolutionize and change. So Uranus has a lot to do with our evolutionary growth, especially when it comes to the technological side of things and the more spiritual side of things. And Pluto has a lot to do with mass consciousness and represents the cycles of our evolution at sort of behind the scenes, because Pluto, being the slowest moving planet, just sits there and things just tick along, changing slowly without us noticing. But when it moves into a sign, then things do start to shift and change. Now it's only moved into Aquarius. It's only sitting at 0 degrees until June. Then it goes back through doing its last little bit in Capricorn, the sign of the sign of business, the sign of the sign of enterprise, if you like, the sign of big business and corporate. That's what I was trying to think of, the sign of the corporate world. So, it's going to go back from June to December, and I think, sort of just clearing out anything that no longer serves us relative to where we place our goals, our direction, our sense of purpose. And, as a society, it's a great opportunity as we're moving out of that time of, the Saturnine sort of control and structure into a more humanitarian time of Aquarius, where it's like we have to have the control and structure. Aquarius traditionally was still ruled by Saturn, so we still have that, that very strong structure, but we have it with Uranus, so it's about for the people. This is about revolutionizing situations, the way we live, for betterment of humanity, because Aquarius is a humanitarian sign. The sign of the water barrier, pouring water for the people to nourish the earth. So, this is a time when this is about service not to the big corps, but service to the people, and, what is going to serve the people in the best way. So it's sitting there in Aquarius, like I said, it's, the last time, I didn't say that, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was 1777. You know, it's the time, around the time of the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. So, you know, this is a really big cycle we're coming into, and we're not quite really embarking into it yet, not until, you know, we come back in, like I said, it only lasts till from June to December. We're dealing with Capricorn stuff again. By January, you know, it's moved back into Aquarius, and it sits there for a bit, does a little bit of a track back around September, and then fully goes into Aquarius, you know, not to return back into Capricorn again in our lifetime. So, you know, with that, this is our edging our way into this age of Aquarius. It's edging our way into this new world that's going to start to open up for us. Technologies, changes, things like that you can expect to move very quickly with Pluto, you know, pushing the mass conscious awareness into this Aquarian placement. So, you know, it's a really, like I said, it's a really interesting time. And the other thing that we've got going on, and this is a much smaller cycle with Saturn, is, you know, Saturn has moved into this, into Pisces. So Saturn has been in Aquarius now for about 18 to 20 months. As it moves into Pisces, I think it's quite appropriate as we move out of the Piscean age to have Saturn just covering, you know, for the next, you know, in fact, yeah, so it's this year, so 2023, and then just partly into 2024, I think halfway, and then before it goes out of Pisces and then into Aries, which again I think is marking again the beginning of a whole new cycle around the wheel. So, you know, with that last part, you know, Pluto's into Aquarius, sort of indicating yes, we are into the age of Aquarius. Saturn's doing its last bit, you know, and into Pisces, and of course we have Pluto going into the last part of Capricorn after June. So that's just doing the cleanup from the old age into the new age. Saturn in Pisces is very much quite a karmic energy of relative to our beliefs, our values. I quite like Saturn in Pisces because it means we can ground a lot of those positive energies of Pisces into practicality. So, you know, there can be more practical reasons for utilising intuition. There can be more practical understanding coming from the softer aspects of Pisces, you know, relative to our sense of knowing who we are and trusting in something bigger than ourselves. So I feel like Saturn's going to bring out a lot of truths about Pisces. It may even bring out some truths about the Piscean age as well, as in, you know, we've just come out of a 2,000-year cycle. There's still a lot that we really don't know about that last 2,000 years. We only know what we've been told, and I feel there's more information bringing out truth so that we can understand where we truly are going, you know, and to understand where we're going, we really do need to understand where we've been. So with Saturn, you know, going through this Pisces combination, like I said, it's time when we can use practical uses relative to our psychic ability, relative to our, you know, this is the healing aspect. It's also the 6-ray Pisces connects up to Virgo of this, you know, the axis of service to others. So, you know, there's a lot of good can be done with Saturn and Pisces. And, you know, as again, Saturn, you know, for astrologers to understand, the Saturn in Pisces is a little bit like a Saturn conjunct Neptune, which, you know, reads as the healer, the ascetist, the person that is will sacrifice a lot for others. Now, it also means Saturn in Pisces means we can feel a little bit, and also Saturn and Neptune, you know, we can feel a little bit concerned about our finances or our security. So with Saturn and, you know, while it's going through Pisces, there might be some concerns about our security, all those Saturnine things, what's our future holding, you know, what are we building up for the future. But I really feel that, you know, the way we approach the Saturn energy is going to be transformed as it goes through Pisces into a much more usable way that is more, again, reaching out in a service way for others. So, you know, people that put themselves out, like Gandhi, for instance, you know, that to me represents that Saturn Neptune, that Saturn and Pisces. They make those sacrifices for for the collective whole, and that is what Saturn Pisces is about. But also the generation that had Saturn in Pisces around 66, and they had the Uranus Pluto, I feel like they're going to be activated. So all you you know, Uranus Plutos that were born around 65, 66, and even into 60s. No, anyway, I'll say 65, 66. I haven't got my ephemeris here to check exactly. But, you know, those people that, you know, feel that they were here to make a big change, you know, they can really get, this can really get activated. They'll be coming into their second Saturn return, which is going to be actually a time when I feel they can really reap the rewards for everything they've learned over the last 50 plus years, 55 plus years. So, you know, it is a really interesting time with these changes going on with the outer planets. You know, we've only got a little bit of Neptune left into Pisces, and then Neptune will move into Aries, you know, creating a new or highlighting a new energy around Aries. But as Neptune's in Pisces and Saturn is going to travel through and meet up and connect with it, this is when I'm talking about this Saturn-Neptune aspect. You know, Saturn in Pisces is like that. It's also going to happen in this sign while it travels through Pisces. Saturn is going to connect up to Neptune, and you know, that is going to be you know, a time when you will really truly see a lot of the healers and the humanitarians come out of the woodwork. So, you know, it is a really exciting time. I'm going to have a look at the tarot and do a spread for the energies for April. Just have a check my notes and see if there's anything I haven't covered. We have a, like I said, I covered the Mercury, Uranus. We also have Venus is going to be trining Pluto. So we have Venus trining Pluto exactly on the 11th of April. You know, so Venus is actually, so we've got Venus and Taurus and Pluto and Aquarius here. And I thought it was interesting because, you know, Pisces, you know, the esoteric ruler for Pisces is Pluto. And with this Venus Pluto, you know, we've sort of got this whole desire and passion again to you know, create more of what we feel really good about, you know, where our, you know, what makes us feel good, where do we feel like we're making a difference, are we passionate about what we're doing. These are all the things that I think you'll be looking at. It could also be quite a strong time for our desires and passions being pulled towards a particular person, so new love relationships, you know, could be drawing on that. But it's, again, with Pluto there, Pluto wants to really highlight, pull out, what do you really believe in, what are your, you know, whether it's about money or whether it's about love. With the Venus combination, you know, this is like our highest desire. What is it that you desire for your future? So Jupiter's in Aries until May, you know, and then we come into May. May is going to be a really interesting month for me to go over, because we have the Jupiter conjunction to the node, and I've seen in people's readings a lot of very fortunate connections, good fortune to sort of, you know, sort of reads in astrology is a good fortune to, you know, have the right connections. In other words, you know, the right people in the right place, and they make things happen. This could be a friend, this could be a family member, this could be an acquaintance, could be someone you just talk to you've never met before. But you know, it's like with the Jupiter node, this is when we form bonds and connections that are productive, that are positive, that will help you to grow and expand, and, you know, where you feel like, you know, this is where it feels right for you. This is where you want to be, because as souls, we're here to grow, we're here to expand. And Jupiter, you know, this is our favorite, it favors this ability for us. Saturn brings in the tests and the challenges. You know, Jupiter brings in the opportunities to expansion. Some people go through Jupiter and not even notice it, but they wouldn't have sort of noticed that things have actually flowed really easily. And it's not until we in struggle that we actually do notice when things are going extremely well for us. So yes, that's right. The midpoint I want to mention is Sun, Mars, Venus. So discussed midpoints before. Here's Mars, and the exact middle point, if we count the degrees from the Sun to the Mars, we divide it by, you know, cut it in half, divide it by 2, we come up with this exact point here, which is Venus. So Sun Mars is again our desire and our direction and our focus, and Venus sitting in there is where we're going to channel it through. New relationships can be happening over this time, around this full moon. Excitement or productive activity again. There could be sudden good news around money and finances, because this is all favouring, the finance sector being in this, but it's also about getting on board with those that you have the same in common, the same values with. I started telling you about Pluto node, and then I just remembered I didn't get there because I started talking about Pluto and Aquarius. The Pluto node is, about the Pluto influences the masses, behind the scenes at a slow level. So, where we talk about where we have, like a generation. Now that's 10 years. Pluto covers more like 20 years, but it's relative to the generational things that happen as it goes halfway through each sign. So Pluto there to our point of the North Node, which is about our connections and about our future direction, where we want to be, and the South Node, which is about our past connections, our past lives, and where we've been. Pluto sits there, and it sort of sits there, it sort of talks a lot about our fate and our fated connections, whether we're meant to be moving forward within certain connections, whether we're meant to be moving away now from certain connections. But it also, with it being fate, it's like you might find people are just moving out of your life just through, the fact that, everything is growing and changing, and they may be moving overseas to live. They could be moving in. So people moving in and out of different environments could be happening at that time. Situations, where we can't hold on to relationships because our growth is in other places. That's what Pluto node's about. But it also brings people together as much as it sort of pulls people apart. When I say it pulls people apart, it doesn't do it fast. It's not like a Saturn separation thing. It's more like you've been weaning away from certain people. What it also does is we have certain people in our life that just come in on certain cycle changes, and they are actually, they had a contract to come here, not to be our best friend, but to be, they could have been our family members in many lifetimes, but to be here to bring in this opportunity or bring this awareness, or just come in, and random times when we're in changes to remind us of who we are, because we have a strong soul connection to them. So we're in that sort of time. People, we're important to think, if you're connecting up with someone you might not have seen for 19 years, this is a nodal cycle, or you might have seen for 22 years, they sort of know that you're in a new cycle, know that this has been a 22-year cycle. They came in at the beginning, you're seeing them again at the end, you're about to move into a new one. So it does indicate a lot of where we're at relative to our cycles, relative to people. So Pluto node sort of pushes the energies away, or creates spaces for new people to come in as well. But like I said, it's not a harsh thing. It's not it's just going to separate because it's not working. Saturn will do that. Look for the Saturn transits if you're looking for that sort of thing. But with Pluto, it's just a slow process. It's like when we say, we never, we're a good friend, we never see each other, but when we catch up, it's just like just like yesterday. That's what I'm talking about with Pluto node. So we never really lose any connections. What I'm saying is that people just seem to come up with important purpose in our life. I think that's pretty much it for the full moon, and that was really the only midpoint that I could see. I don't use a program because I haven't fixed my program, because I've found doing the old school way of doing it, which I learnt back in 98, but it was actually 1990, and I studied astrology. Writing it out actually just helped me to feel it, and then I can feel the aspects, I can feel the midpoints. So there's probably other midpoints, but I just pick on the most obvious and important ones. So let's have a look at the cards and see what we can expect for April, because April, I feel, is a very important month. The energies are quite nice. There's nothing really that intense. Some people might be thinking, gosh, I really want to move forward. Jupiter there, you might be going, I really desire these things and feel like it's not happening. That's going to depend on where your mind's at. But, if you're feeling that, just get down and write what you want. Where do you want to expand? Where do you want to grow? This is at a personal level, being the sun. what personal growth do you want? Do you want it to be success in a certain area that you're passionate about? Do you want it to be, gaining more knowledge? Do you want it to be more of a spiritual understanding? This is the time when you're going to really feel that urge. And with the moon, opposite Jupiter, it's like it's something you need to feel. It's the direction that you feel in alignment with fully, and is emotionally satisfying and fulfilling. Nothing really gnarly here, like even with this moon, Jupiter sometimes, and it's like, oh, the outbursts emotionally because you're so passionate about what you're saying. It's like there's nothing really negative triggering any of this or difficult. So it's not like there's any reasons to have any negative outbursts. In fact, there could be much more reason to have positive outbursts. But we're checking with the cards because you can see all this with the astrology. To be honest, the cards speak at another level where they'll just say what it is rather than all the things it could be. So let's have a look. So what does the universe want everyone watching this video to know about for the month of April? Okay, so now I'm going to contradict myself. This is why I do always rely on the cards. And I teach astrology. I love to teach astrology, but I do prefer with my readings. It's nice to look at the astrology and then do a reading, but I do mostly I do readings, tarot readings, because the tarot, like I said, this is not playing guessing games here. This is the tarot speaks and speaks very clearly what it is. Now, of course, I'm generalising this too for a lot of people. So I will say for some it could be this or for some it could be that. Now, I just said, this is how my intuition works. Sometimes I say something and then I go, oh no, actually it was more, I was getting the message. But I just said that, I couldn't see any conflicts. This is a time to heal past conflicts, but where there is, and I think more so we're talking about family conflicts or family not getting on, not agreeing, getting this non-agreement around family, where that's been going on, and if it's still continuing, this is going to bring this to a head, but it's going to bring it in a productive solution. There's going to be productive solutions. Now, this is a fantastic month again financially. This is a productive month. Like I said, people looking at how they can make more for themselves, how they can create more. People speculating, which is a really strong Jupiter word, speculation, and it's also a very Sagittarian word, which is Sagittarius rules Jupiter. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, sorry. So what I'm saying here is that it's not so much that I can see money here. It's not that people are going to be receiving a lot of money immediately. It's more like they can see where their money is coming from. So finally, through your work and through, I think, even some good news, they can see how they can free up things. They could free up mortgages. They could free up their situations. So this is more about planning and being able to speculate, but knowing there's a guaranteed situation of where money is coming from, how they can build on. So in other words, where people have been struggling, and this is showing here in the recent past that people have felt restricted, limited, over it, sick of working for the dollar and not feeling like they're getting any fulfillment. This is, leads to frustration. Now we're saying we're sort of in a bit of a waiting time. I feel like there's some good news coming in for April. There's exciting news that seems to be coming in where people will be celebrating. And then what comes in is a speculation on money that we can utilise or work through for our careers or our works. Could even be some ideas of new things we could do in our careers. But this is all about not thinking about your creative side and your careers, and it's more thinking about the security, the finances, to be honest. And it's not surprising with everything lining up here. In Taurus, Venus, its ruler is in Taurus, of course, Mercury is in Taurus. So we are thinking, this is where we're thinking. We're thinking about what we're creating for ourselves, how we can have a better lifestyle, and also how we can be in a position where we don't need to worry about money. I'm getting very good news coming in. It's coming in hard and fast. I feel like it's coming in through information. It's coming in through like for some it could just like be conversation over phone, for, there could be, I'm getting like where information comes through. So what do we have for information? We have our phones, we have even television as a form, or the internet as a form of information. So for some, there could be good news at a collective level coming in, which means we can move forward into certain things that we've been wanting to do. So what I'm saying here is that you're going to get this information, but it's going to come from a form of, I want to say platform, but that doesn't sort of make sense. But it's like you're going to receive it. It's more likely you're going to hear about it on your phone, put it that way. If I put it that way, then everything's covered. And it means that you can move forward into new ideas and new plans. There seems to be some information coming up about new plans and new direction. Now, we're not quite into the new cycle. We've got the Ace of Rods here, and then the Two of Rods next to it, and then the Wheel of Fortune. So, these three cards together, this is about plans. This is what I'm talking about, your desire, your energy. This is like the Mars card here. This is the Fate card. This is like, positive karmic energy with these two very positive cards. And this is, I see this as a generosity card. This is the helpful card. Like I said, the card where it's like, because of this contact, and this is where this person is offering to me, they're offering like the world. They're saying, look here, the world's your oyster. There's no image of the world on this. It's just a ball, but it's like you create it. I'm giving you an opportunity here. So this is sort of like a practical opportunity that's coming from a person that is just about putting them into that right, because it's quite physical, these cards, into that right place or space. And like I said, a fated situation, a fated opportunity, extremely good news for lots of you guys watching this today. Or any day that you're watching it, of course. So, again, security seems to be the theme. Just trusting that the universe is looking after you, and that's also something else that's going to come in, because you've been in a place, or some of us have been in a place where we haven't been feeling it. We've been feeling frustrated. We haven't been feeling looked after. In fact, we've been feeling squashed. We've been feeling, these cards here. We've been feeling like we're being just too controlled and we can't breathe. Now that's an extreme feeling. For some, and I might be exaggerating a little bit, I have lots of Sagittarius, Jupiterian energy myself, but this is about feeling like you're not in control of things, but feeling like you've got to do the right things, but for the wrong reasons. And there's a lot in here about getting what you want, what is truly right for you. So in other words, don't feel guilty about situations when, especially if I go back to this family situations here that I've got in the outcome, where we have family situations or friendship situations for some, or surrounds either siblings or soul family, where just haven't been on the same page. This is actually sort of saying this is the opportunity to take control, but don't feel guilty because you do. Don't feel guilty because somebody's got to stand up and say what needs to be said. Arguments are good. Arguments are better than just an underlining energy of what you really want to say. Arguments are better than talking about others behind their back because you're so frustrated and you don't know, you can't say what you want to say to them. So this is actually a resolve time, I feel. And it's a time where we've got to take the right action, and we've got to do what feels right. And like I said, there seems to be some good news in taking the right action. But for anyone who's sort of been going through this whole money issues, value issues, all this Taurian stuff, there could be arguments over money or situations or what we're doing with money when it comes to family or when it comes to others. This is all being sorted, and meaning this is coming to the fore. And as that's being sorted, no, there will be an argument. There will be, it's going to look like it gets worse before it gets better, but that's what actually where the resolve comes in. Like I said, it is time to stop pussyfooting around and to really just speak your truth, and to not feel bad about that when you are coming from the right place in your integrity. This is the best you can do. You can only do that. And yes, it might be not, might be a bit painful. People might not like it, but they will respect you for that in the long run. And that's what's really important, as in mending and healing past situations. So I hope you got something from that, you guys, and I will see you next time for the new moon. Oh, and I am going to start doing some some videos on understanding your astrology, and I'm going to work through the planets and I'm going to work through the signs. So what I'll be doing is I'll be covering, say, the sun, and then the moon, and so the sun relative to what it means to have the sun and those signs, and then the moon and how that works within your expression. And I'll be covering the zodiac, so we'll go through Aries to Pisces. So in other words, if you have your astrology chart and you know that you have an Aries ascendant or an Aries moon, it's going to give you a bit more depth on understanding what the planets and the signs mean, and give you a bit more understanding of how the planets work, and how they work in your astrology and what they mean. So for yourself, when you're having a certain transit, you really get a feel of what that's going to mean for you. Okay, so have a great full moon, and we'll see you next time. Bye.